We spoke, which was about half an hour ago. We knew that people had arrived already, but it seems that the crowd has grown quite substantially since then.
That's right, Uveka, but as luck would have it, just as we cross the large group that have already gathered here in King Dinizulu Park, have already gone around the corner. They're making their presence felt here in the Durban CBD, just about a kilometre and a half away from the Durban High Court. Now, last night there was that night vigil that was held at the nearby Albert Park. There we had a much younger crowd, many of them coming from the Durban University of Technology, which is the building right behind me, staying at that park overnight. But organisers say that they've managed to get more than 100 buses to bring people from across KZN and as far afield as the Free State to come here this morning in support of the former president, Jacob Zuma. But as we discussed earlier, and with the young woman that we spoke to earlier, there was this call by the ANC's NEC for supporters of Jacob Zuma not to wear any ANC regalia or any ANC colour as well. That has seemingly been tossed to the wind. Just behind me is already a group of vendors that have already set up selling ANC regalia, ANC T-shirts, but at the same time, I would judge almost half of the people who have gathered here this morning and have been gathering overnight are in fact wearing ANC colours. So it's going to be very difficult to divorce Jacob Zuma from the ANC in today's support marches. Today it's going to be quite interesting how the ANC's NEC will be responding to this, especially after that NEC resolution which was issued just a few weeks ago.
Well, Lester, you spoke to one of the Zuma supporters earlier this morning in our chat, and very, very adamant that Jacob Zuma, they're fully behind Jacob Zuma. He is still their president. Just give us some idea, I mean, in the light of him facing these charges, this actually going to court, and all the other unhappiness surrounding him as a president when he was president, why do they still feel like that? Did you manage to get some insight into that?
Well, many people are saying that Jacob Zuma is still, in fact, a member of good standing in the ANC, and that they're saying that Jacob Zuma is the ANC and the ANC is Jacob Zuma. So there is no reason, many people feel, that they should not support Jacob Zuma as a member of the party. Many are also asking, I've been trying to pull out maybe some of the ideological reasons behind this support for Jacob Zuma. Many of the younger people are saying that Jacob Zuma is the catalyst for radical economic transformation, that he was removed as president for driving a pro-poor agenda, and that is what they still want to see. Many of the older people, though, that I've spoken to with historical links to the KwaZulu-Natal province, they say they remember Jacob Zuma's role in this province pre-94 during those negotiations and the peaceful resolution between the ANC and Nkatha in that pre-94 period. Also remembering his role as economics and finance MEC here in this province after 1994, and then obviously him being elevated to the leadership of the ANC and eventually becoming president of the Republic. So there's this strong attachment to Jacob Zuma, who many people have called a son of the soil here in KZN. And with this trial happening today, many are saying that it will be difficult to extract the ANC and the people of KwaZulu-Natal from Jacob Zuma, and that is why many of them are saying that they are out in support today.
But it also makes you wonder then, Lester, has the ANC sort of completely abandoned Jacob Zuma, or want to be seen as completely having abandoned him, especially when you look at what Becky Cele has had to say, warning supporters to stop mobilizing ANC structures to rally behind the former president, and now saying don't even wear your ANC regalia. The NEC saying don't represent the NEC in any way or show that you do at this march. What does it sort of leave you thinking about whether they've genuinely abandoned him, whether they want to be seen as it is all about election 2019, or there might still be some support behind the scenes?
The ANC is in a very tricky situation. Jacob Zuma is already part of the campaign for the ANC for the 2019 elections. You can remember also a few weekends ago, Jacob Zuma was out of the campaign trail during that voter registration weekend, and you saw those pictures coming out of that weekend, the numbers that Jacob Zuma had been managed to draw, particularly canvassing here in the KZN province. At the same time, I can remember asking the ANC's Ace Magashule, asking him, what does this court case mean for the ANC's campaign? And his answer there is that former presidents Thabo Mbeki, Kgalema Motlanthe and Jacob Zuma, they'd all be somewhat been used, or they'll somewhat will be called to help the ANC during that 2019 election campaign. And what's going to be very interesting is not what necessarily happens inside court at 9:30 this morning, but what happens after. Will Jacob Zuma come out and address these crowds, which will clearly go into the high hundreds here in Durban, maybe even thousands here in Durban this morning? Whether he will address them, what will be that message to them, and whether he'll fight back in any way against that ANC-NEC resolution, discouraging people from wearing ANC colours or ANC emblems here at this support rally today. So it's going to be very difficult for the ANC to try and paint this picture, especially with the new ANC leadership in Cyril Ramaphosa talking about a clean slate, a new broom, a new dawn coming through the ANC, with a former leader like Jacob Zuma now facing these very serious fraud and corruption charges.
This case certainly going to be one of those throbbing wounds that's going to pop up. Thank you very much, ANC's Lester Kivett, out in Durban, keeping an eye on the pro-Zuma march expected to kick off in just a couple of hours. Well, that brings